Toyota was very late to the game with its own subcompact crossover, and super jealous that its arch nemesis Honda had the HR-V, it came out with this funky CHR, which was actually supposed to be a Scion. So everyone knows the rivalry between Toyota and Honda is as natural as pie versus cake. So of course we brought both of them together to see which one's the better subcompact crossover. So right away, the Toyota wins in the style department. I really love the way it looks. It's funky and it's different without being too weird. But I also love the Juke, so maybe my tastes are a little bit questionable. The HR-V, on the other hand, simply looks like a bean. It's totally dorky and can be easily mistaken for any other subcompact crossover. It's just very generic, and I give Toyota mad points for standing out. And while I love the way the Toyota looks, its practicality takes a big hit because of that cool sloping roofline. The Honda, on the other hand, has way more cargo capacity and better sightlines, which are both things that people shopping in this segment really care about. Well, the HR-V has 23.2 cubic feet of space in the trunk. That balloons to 55.9 with the seats folded flat. And the Toyota comes nowhere close with just 19 in the trunk and 36.4 with the seats down. If you need more space to haul things, definitely pick the HR-V, especially because it has the magic seats, which make it easier to carry taller items. These seats are the best, and I wish every single car had them. Although the sightlines in the Honda aren't great, by comparison, you're basically blind to anything behind your shoulders in the Toyota. That sloped roofline and small windows look pretty cool, but it makes it difficult to see out of and park, especially because of this stupid backup camera in the rearview mirror. It's just really jarring to use, and it's a little bit too small and isn't as useful as drivers need it to be, especially because of the huge blind spots. But both cars are pretty small, so it shouldn't be a huge problem either way. I was actually really surprised by how the CHR drives, so I was expecting it to be a lot like a Corolla, meaning it would be really boring, but it actually feels legitimately fun to drive. And I'm not saying it's sporty or even powerful, but it does feel really willing to kind of juke around and take a corner without getting too bent out of shape. And even though it has a CVT, it's still pretty playful, which the Honda definitely isn't. So I was really happy to discover that the CHR pretty much drives the way it looks, so it's not all show and no go. The CHR is powered by a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 144 horsepower and 139 pound-feet of torque. The steering also doesn't suffer from being overly light and vague like most other cars in this segment, but most impressive is the suspension, which isn't at all sloppy in the corners and also isn't too uncomfortably stiff. The CHR also feels like it has a lower center of gravity and a wider stance, resulting in a nimble car that feels good in corners and stable at higher speeds. The only downside is that the Toyota is front-wheel drive only, and all-wheel drive isn't even an option, which might take it out of the running for some folks, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. So if there's one word that describes how the Honda drives, it is boring. I mean, it gets you where you need to go, but it's borderline depressing at sometimes because at full throttle, it is just screaming at you, but nothing is happening. It is so slow, it is almost painful. There just isn't anything very special about how the Honda drives. The steering is pretty vague and the suspension is comfortable, but it's a little bit too soft to have any fun. So as a result, it just doesn't feel as nimble or as willing as the Toyota, although it is really easy to park and really familiar to drive, and that's what really counts for most people shopping in this segment. The HR-V is powered by a smaller 1.8-liter engine with 141 horsepower and 127 pound-feet of torque, both figures that are less than the Toyota. One big bonus for a lot of people is that they can pick either front wheel or all-wheel drive with the Honda. Interestingly, fuel economy for both cars is a draw at about 29 combined, although the Toyota did get better as tested fuel economy. Inside, both cars are pretty basic and yet not oppressively cheap, and the layouts for both are clean and user-friendly. Neither cars have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which sucks because both of the infotainment systems are pretty terrible. They're slow, they look old, and aren't very functional, but at least you can get navigation in the Honda, even if it doesn't work that well. Nav isn't even an option in the Toyota, so you'll have to get some sort of phone mount. Honda's touchscreen is also easier to use because it has home and menu options, but neither of them are very user-friendly. The Toyota only has 2 trims, so it comes really well equipped with standard features like automatic high beams, lane departure warning and lane keep assist, full speed adaptive cruise control that works in traffic and can bring you to a full stop, crash avoidance with pedestrian detection, and automatic emergency braking. Rear cross traffic alert, blind spot monitoring, heated seats, push button starts, and power folding mirrors are available with the higher trim package. This top trim Honda, which is a lot more expensive than the Toyota, is majorly lacking when it comes to active safety features. It basically comes with none of those driver assistance and safety features the Toyota does, and that is a huge knock against it. I was actually really surprised by the outcome of this comparison because I thought the Honda's practicality would help it win for sure, but the Toyota has better driving dynamics, more style, and a much more impressive list of features, all while being more affordable. So if it were my money on the line, I'd be okay with sacrificing a bit of that practicality because this segment is so boring and I really like that Toyota does things a little bit differently.